What do you think Bitcoin's price goes to this year in 2021?
Well, I'll give you that, but I think that it's going to be $1 million a coin. And
Okay.
not this year necessarily, maybe not this cycle, but I think pretty soon it will be. I think that if we get another momentum in the market, it's just my opinion, and these things, they trade with momentum. Even like MSTR stock, it trades with momentum. If we get an upward momentum, and let's say that there continues to be this high inflation print, there's no ceiling to where it could go. But I would say 75. I think it'll at least be at 75.
So new all-time high this year.
Yeah.
And then you think that at some point in the next couple of years, $1 million.
Yeah, I think probably mid next year. I think that it will get harder. Just the growth in the economy, I think, will be harder on stuff. And I do think Bitcoin, and we may disagree on this, I do think Bitcoin, at least from what I've seen, tends to trade like a commodity from what I've seen. And I've been a little disappointed with it the last couple of weeks at how much it traded even with the market. But I guess it's probably nothing compared to what it used to be, right?
It happens. It tends to be a non-correlated asset, but there are periods where it gets high correlation. And a lot of it's the macro stuff where people just start saying, hey, this is a risk asset or whatever. And also, it used to be a much different audience that held Bitcoin. As you get into now more financially savvy folks with it, then you're going to have them trade it like it's another stock or another commodity in their portfolio versus historically, those people who they didn't care about the financials.
And again, this is out of my circle of competency, so I don't really know it. But, you asked, so that's what I think.
What are you giggling about?
Nothing.
I think we're going over 100 this year.
You think we're going over 100K?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the math behind that?
Yeah.
Young wizard Will Clemente told me.
You know what else just went over? It just went over 5,000 likes. So get your checkbook out.
If it goes over 100,000, I'll come back and give more money away.
There we go.
You might be back in like a couple of weeks.
What is this?
I guess I got to buy more Bitcoin.
Is going towards the end of the year like a make or break? Like, is this make or break for Bitcoin? Or say it sits at 40 for the rest of the year?
Bitcoin could drop to $3,000 and I would literally sell the shirt off of your back to get more money to go buy it at $3,000.
That's the other thing too, is like when Bill was talking earlier about if you're comfortable losing the amount of money, the 95% or whatever, at the end of the day, it's never going to go to zero because there's so many people who have such a strong conviction in it that would never sell, right? Like you're never going to sell it. So it's never going to, you're lowering that risk reward profile, right? On the risk side. And then if it dips down to that number, wherever it ends up being, like you would just aggressively buy as much as you could, knowing that there's only ever going to be 21 million. The demand is still super strong.
If Bitcoin dropped to $3,000, Michael Saylor and President Bukele would have to fight me to see who could buy the Bitcoin at 3K. Okay, right? And so would everybody else.
What about like 18,000? Like why 3,000?
Just whatever the number
if it
is,
declined
right?
a lot.
It dropped to 30,000. I bought a bunch more, right? And it wasn't because I was like, oh, any other reason than like I just periodically buy more as I make more money, which keeps the like 95%. But also when it dips, I have such long-term conviction. Like the other piece of this too is like there's people who trade it. Right. So they want to buy it today, they're going to sell it tomorrow. They're going to buy it today, they're going to sell it in a week or whatever. That's not me.
Yeah.
I literally just say, as I buy it, I have a number in my head. Okay, now I got more, now I got more. And I just say, look, I'm going to hand it to my grandkids. And I think that psychologically, like when I decided that.
So what does your bride think about you owning 95%? Is she sold?
The reason why there's 5% not in Bitcoin,
well, it's worked out so far.
That was our agreement. Was there had to be a certain amount of money that was in the bank account where it was like, all right, we're good for a period of time, and then you could do whatever you want. And I talked to her about it, but I think there's been 2 times where it was dropping aggressively, and I had bought I told a story of in March 2020. It went from like 8,000 to 4,000 a single day, or like 3,800. And that morning I wrote a piece and published it. Like I took the time out of my day, wrote a piece and said, we're in a liquidity crisis. Asset prices are selling off. They're likely to sell off more. So it went from 8 to 6. I bought a bunch. Then it went from 6 to like 5,500. I bought, a little bit more. And then I think it like got down to like 4,800. And I remember saying to myself, like, am I going to watch this go to zero? Like I was literally sitting on the couch, like staring off in space. And for whatever, it's coming, like whatever, just psychologically, like it just sucks. And she looked at me, she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, Bitcoin might go to zero. Like I might just like watch this blow up. And she said to me, she was like, what are you doing? Buy more. She's like if it's going down, like just like go down with the ship.
Yeah.
And so I, very reluctantly bought a little bit more. And I remember saying to myself, like, there's almost this beauty in not being involved in it every day, because she was just like, I don't think she computed like the price had dropped 50% and all this stuff's going on. She's just like, what, you believe
Do
it?
you ever have days where you don't check the price?
I rarely check the price, actually.
Good for you.
The only times I check the price are one, people like to tweet it at me, so I happen to see it then. Or two is when I read like a news article. And what I'm very interested in now is like when China reiterated this ban last week, Bitcoin's only down like 4 or 5%. I would have thought if you told me, hey, they're going to do it again, like, all right, here we go down 10, 12%. And so it looks like the market is becoming less sensitive to certain narratives.
It's great. It's bullish.
Yeah, but if, certain people went out and tweeted today in the United States and said something, they could tank it 10, 15%, overnight. So you just kind of pay attention to it and try to figure it out there.
I check the price all the time. And it's a problem because even if it goes up, I'm not going to sell any. So it's just like I'm just making myself worry. And then
It's
when
a
it goes
compulsive
down.
deal.
Yeah. So
I feel
But
like
it's
that'll
still
wear
fun.
off after time.
But it's
over
still
time.
fun.
yeah, it's still fun.
What's up, guys? Bang, bang. Thanks so much for watching the Best Business Show today. If we're going to be the best business show, we obviously need the best partner. That's why the exclusive sponsor of the Best Business Show is SoFi. They're an all-in-one platform that allows you to invest in all kinds of different assets, including stocks, ETFs, crypto, IPOs, and they even have an automated investing function, if that's your thing. So before we start getting after it again, make sure that you go download SoFi, you get an invest account, and when you make your first crypto trade, regardless of what you buy, they'll give you $10 in Bitcoin for free. It's that simple. Head on over to SoFi.com/pomp to get started today. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you come back and watch more of the Best Business Show tomorrow.